Hi there, welcome back to yoga. Today we're going to do a brief flow working on releasing our neck and our shoulders. I don't know about you guys, but I am always tight in this area, especially with just everything that we do in society every day. We tend to hunch forward and lean forward. So we're going to try to open that area a bit, hopefully feel a little better, and go from there. If you have a block, feel free to use that. If you don't worry about it. You can also use like a rolled up yoga mat or a pillow just a little bit later on. So, all right, let's go ahead and start. So go ahead and find a comfortable stance. Feet can be, as always, close together. Maybe they're further apart, wherever you feel more steady, more comfortable. You might even move those legs a little bit. You might start to move the arms or through that torso. Just trying to listen to where the body wants to move as we find our space today. And as you make your way back to center, again, feel free to continue to move, but slowly just coming back towards the center of your space. Let's try taking a few breaths together. So maybe on that breath in, we lift or shrug those shoulders up towards the ears. And then on the breath out, maybe just sigh it out through the mouth as you let those shoulders fall. So let's try a few breaths like that. So just a full breath in, shrugging up through those shoulders, and then a long breath out, all the way out, and maybe one more like that. Nice full breath in, and exhale, just sigh it out, allowing those shoulders to relax here. Now with those arms just hanging along those sides, you might start to find some circles through those shoulders. And if you want, you can match that movement to your breath. So you might breathe in as the shoulders come forward and up. And then on a breath out, maybe the shoulders come back and down. But if you try that and you'd rather do a different pace, feel free. Just finding a little bit of movement. You could move one shoulder at a time or both at the same time. Or you might try going the other direction with those circles a few times. And if you're moving with your breath, maybe you inhale, the shoulders come back and up. And then as you exhale, they come forward and down. And then even taking it a little bit further, if you want, you can bring those hands or those fingertips to the tops of those shoulders. And as we continue to move those shoulders, you might start to take that movement into the elbows as well. So just starting to draw circles with those elbows. Maybe they're small, maybe they're big. And just see, you might feel some movement underneath those fingertips as they're connected with the shoulders. One shoulder might feel different than the other. Maybe you go the opposite direction if you haven't already. Just a few more breaths here. And then the next time you take a full breath in, go ahead and just sweep those arms out to the sides and then up towards the ceiling until those hands connect overhead. And then exhaling, they can come down to your heart center. Bringing these hands behind the body, let's go ahead and interlace those fingers. And as you do so, you might find the elbows stay bent, or you might be able to bring those shoulder blades a little closer together as we reach the tops of the hands down towards the floor. So just try and find that space here. And let's begin by just bringing that gaze straight ahead. So just turning that gaze forward, thinking about lifting or reaching up through the crown of the head. Try to lift the top of the head up towards the ceiling as we gently ground down into the feet and we reach the tops of those hands or the knuckles down towards the floor. Beginning to find some engagement through the thighs and through the core as well. Making sure we're continuing to breathe here. And then you might start to turn your gaze over one shoulder. Just nice and easy. However far you'd like to move that head. And then we'll bring the gaze back through center. And let's turn that gaze to the other side. And then slowly back to center. On that next breath in, maybe try turning that gaze up towards the ceiling as we lift up through the chest, and the hands might reach a little further down towards the ground. And then on the breath out, bending through those knees, hinging forward at those hips. Let's pause about halfway down here. And as you breathe in, try to re-engage through those arms. The crown of the head reaches forward, And then on the breath out, you can fold all the way down over those legs. Maybe those hands come a little higher up overhead. Keeping a soft bend in those knees. And then just releasing the hands down to the floor whenever you are ready. Maybe dropping that chin a little closer to the chest. You might move the head side to side or forward and back. And then go ahead and bring those hands all the way to the floor. And let's just step both feet back right into our downward dog. Lifting those hips up high. Maybe walk out those heels a few times, bending one knee towards the mat and then the other. And then just slowly lowering down onto all fours. Feel free to keep those toes tucked, or you can untuck those toes. We're just gonna keep those hands directly under those shoulders and then the knees under those hips. And let's just move through a few cat and cows here. But let's try to keep our awareness on the shoulders and on the neck. So as we breathe in, reaching the heart forward, try to draw those shoulders back. So even though we're lifting up through the gaze and through the hips, we're trying to bring those shoulders back towards one another and down the spine. And then maybe on a breath out, we ground down into those hands as we round through the back, lifting the belly away from the floor and try to broaden or create a little more space in between those shoulder blades. And then feel free to move with your breath a few times forward and back. Inhaling, you might lift the heart forward, lifting up through the hips, and then exhaling as we round through the back, rounding through those shoulders. Inhaling, try to draw those shoulders down the back. And exhaling as we round. Maybe just one more breath here, forward and back. And then as we come back to that neutral spine, let's take one step forward with those hands. And then we're gonna shift our weight forward, bringing those shoulders above those wrists once again, coming back into a kneeling plank here. Shifting that weight forward on the breath in, and then on the breath out, bending those elbows. Let's lower all the way down to the chest and the belly. And then inhaling, we're just gonna lift the shoulders, the heart off the mat as the elbows reach back behind us. And then exhaling, go ahead and lower back down. Let's take 3 breaths here. As you inhale, go ahead and press into those hands. Maybe we lift a little bit higher. And then exhaling as we lower down. And then inhale. You can stay in baby cobra, or you can lift even higher. Exhaling as we lower. One more breath here. As you breathe in, try to keep those elbows pointing back, shoulders drawing back, and then exhaling all the way down. All right, we're gonna press into those hands. Inhale, lifting up to our knees. Tucking those toes as you exhale, reaching hips back towards those heels. And then slowly lifting the knees, lifting the hips. Let's find our downward dog once again. Turning that gaze forward as you're ready. In between those hands, you might step or hop your feet to the front. Once we get there, let's inhale, lift halfway. And as you lift that halfway, try to draw those shoulders down and back. Exhaling as we fold. Let's find a deep bend in those knees and we'll slowly rise to stand. Feel free to bring those arms up with you if you'd like. Exhaling all the way out through the mouth. So we lower our hands to our heart. All right, once again, we're gonna bring hands behind the body, but this time, see if you can cross the hands the other way. So the other thumb comes on top. It's usually the way that feels a little awkward because we tend to do it the same way every time. And then once again, let's draw those shoulders down and back. All right, this time, instead of turning our gaze, we're just gonna lower one ear down towards that same shoulder. So if your right ear is dropping down towards the right shoulder, you might use that right hand to pull that left hand down a little further. Breathing into that left side of the neck, or whichever side you're on, noticing where you might feel the sensation of a stretch here. And then as you feel ready, maybe on a breath in, we lift the head back up through center. Feel free to pause in the center as long as you'd like, enough to maybe notice both sides of the neck. And then on the next breath out, dropping the opposite ear down. So I'm dropping my left ear towards left shoulder, lifting the chin up, and then maybe using that left hand to draw the right hand a little further down. Sending that breath to any area where you might feel sensation here. And then go ahead and inhale, we'll bring the head back up to center. On the exhale, we're gonna drop the chin down towards that left armpit. So just turning that gaze down like you're trying to look at that left armpit, lifting up through the back of the head. Just allowing those shoulders to relax here. Inhaling, we'll bring the head back up to center, and then let's exhale, dropping the chin down towards the top of that right armpit. And then inhaling back up, we'll turn that gaze back to the center once again. Let's re-engage through those arms as we inhale, lifting up through the heart. Exhale, reaching down through the hands, and then slowly bending those knees. Let's hinge forward at those hips, pausing about halfway down. Inhale, try to lengthen through the spine and through the arms, and then exhale, folding all the way over those legs, releasing the chin down towards the chest, and then releasing those hands whenever you'd like, bringing them to the floor. And here you might sway through those hips, moving those hips side to side. Okay, bringing those hips back to center. Let's bring hands to the floor. We're going to step our feet all the way back to that downward dog once again. Lifting those hips high as we ground down into those hands like you're trying to press the mat forward away from those feet. And then go ahead and slowly lower down to those knees. All right, so back onto all fours here, but this time we're going to shift our weight into our left hand, and let's try lifting our right hand off the floor and underneath the left arm, walking out to the side as far as we can, and maybe that right arm, left arm is going to extend forward. I'm sorry if I ever say the wrong side, guys. I know I do often. But just try to walk those right fingertips away from the body until you might start to feel a stretch through that right shoulder. You're welcome to rest your head on the floor, or if you have a block, you can bring the block underneath that head. Or you can always bend that left arm and rest your head on the forearm. And here you're welcome to sit those hips back towards the heels, or they can stay lifted. And we're just going to pause for about 3 full breaths here. So again, finding that breath, noticing what this feels like in the body, what this posture, this movement feels like in the body here. How you might be able to adjust, how you might continue to breathe. And then whenever you're ready, grounding down into that left hand so we can bring the right hand back to center, maybe making your way back to all fours. Taking a moment to readjust and find your space. And then as you inhale, let's lift our left arm all the way up. And you might try looking up at those fingertips. And slowly bringing that left hand down, walking it underneath the right arm, all the way out to the side as far as you possibly can. Walk out through those fingertips. That right arm might extend forward, or you can bend the arm and rest your head on that forearm. Maybe reach those hips back towards the heels, or they can stay lifted. Just finding what feels best for you here. It's going to be a little different than what I'm doing. Maybe it's different on one side versus the other. And maybe it's different than the last time you tried this. And that is okay. Trying to just pay attention to what we feel here in this posture, in this stretch. Checking in with when we're breathing. And then when you feel ready, maybe bringing that right hand to the floor and slowly untwisting. We'll bring both hands back to the floor. And you might tuck the toes, or they can stay untucked as we sit back onto those heels. Or an option, you can bring the hips above those knees. So whichever feels more comfortable there. On that next breath in, let's go ahead and extend those arms out to the sides and all the way up towards the ceiling. And then on that breath out, let's bend those elbows. We're just gonna drop the elbows down and back and just open into, we call it cactus arms. As we lift up through the heart, but the elbows and the shoulders are dropping down. You might squeeze those shoulder blades together behind you. Just one more full breath here. Try to lift a little bit taller. And then on the breath, we're just gonna bring those arms out and around, just like you're giving yourself a big hug. Maybe see if you can feel those fingertips on the back of those shoulders. You might even bring your chin a little closer to the chest. And then on a breath in, go ahead and open back up one more time into those cactus arms, dropping the elbows, dropping the shoulders. And then exhale as we wrap. Let's try bringing the other elbow on top. As we bring those fingertips behind those shoulders, maybe releasing the chin down. And then slowly letting those arms go all the way back down to your sides. All right, go ahead and swing those legs around to the front. So we're gonna lower down onto our back. Here's where a block might come in handy. Again, or you can roll up your yoga mat and bring it, we want it, whatever we're using to be like horizontal. So we're just gonna bring it behind a little bit away from those hips. So as we lower down, we want that block to come across the shoulder blades. So across that upper back. So you can use your hands, your elbows, whatever you need to help yourself get to that spot. And it might feel okay to just let the head rest on the mat here, if it feels okay through the front of the neck and the throat. But if not, if you feel like you're straining to get that head back, you might bring a pillow underneath the head here. So just adjusting to find your space where this feels okay. And the hands can be wherever's comfortable. Some options might be keeping your hands on the belly. Maybe they come out to the sides with those palms facing up. You might feel those shoulders open a bit more that way, or they could be up overhead. And same thing with those legs. We're gonna be here for about 2 minutes. So finding what feels comfortable. You can keep your feet on the floor, or you can bring soles of your feet together into butterfly legs, or you can extend them all the way out in front of you, maybe bringing those feet a little wider than those hips. Again, just it's going to be different for each one of us, finding your space, what feels best. And you might try closing the eyes, or if you'd rather keep them open, you can just find a spot to gaze at up on the ceiling. Giving yourself a few breaths here to just be. And allowing the block, even if you don't have a block, you can still be laying flat on your back with those palms up. Still a great release for the front of those shoulders. And opening for that heart center, the front of the chest. So just allowing gravity and the floor and the block to do the work here. As you continue to breathe, you might be able to soften through that area around your eyes. You might be able to release or relax through the jaw. You might feel the breath moving in and out of different parts of the body. You might feel a little different as you breathe in and out of the chest or the ribs here, with the chest being lifted. You might not feel much at all, and that's okay. Just trying to bring your awareness to different parts of the body. Maybe where your body's connected to the floor. Maybe trying to feel or notice those connections. And you are welcome to stay here as long as you have time for, as long as you would like today. But when you feel ready, you can slowly use your arms to slowly sit all the way up. And you might just wrap those arms around those legs and drop the chin towards the chest. Taking a few breaths into that upper back. And then you're welcome to lay back down on the mat without the block and just give yourself a few minutes in Shavasana. Or you can come back to a seat. I'm just going to take a few more breaths with you here, but feel free to do what you have time for, what works best for you. So, finding your space, maybe finding a tall spine. You might finish that next breath out. And then on a breath in, maybe you take a breath in through the nose and then back out through the nose. And then just taking one more breath together, a nice full breath back in through the nose and out through the mouth. Checking in with yourself one more time, maybe finding one word that describes how or what you feel in this moment. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you next time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.